Welcome back, guys, and welcome to show 2 of... We didn't think of a name, did we? Just Down the Wing podcast.
Yeah, we're just sort of going with that again.
Yeah. I'm Elmo.
And I'm Tuna the fish.
So this week, obviously the first weekend of the Premier League kicked off with 8 games. So we're going to dissect the 8 games that were played, talk about the goals, the players, the teams, and anything else that happened during the game. We're going to be looking at refs' decisions, and we'll also predict next week's games. So
See how wrong we are.
Yeah. Right, so Premier League's back because it only ended a couple of weeks ago, so it feels like
so long.
So let's talk about last weekend then. Interesting weekend, some interesting results.
23 goals from 8 games. So
Manchester United and Man City didn't play because they was in the late stages of the Champions League, which obviously didn't end till the end of August. So they was given a week free.
Aston Villa and Burnley, by extension, then didn't play either because they were due to play them teams.
Yep. So just the 8 games, as I've said.
And as you say, first game that kicked us off.
Yeah, so Fulham got destroyed by Arsenal 3-0.
They did indeed, and not very promising for them. I mean, they only had 5 shots all game with 2 on target. I mean, 46% of possession shows that they wasn't that bad. They just don't have the quality really anywhere in the pitch to be able to threaten much from that. I know they had one decent chance very early on with a pretty poor back pass.
Yeah.
Which the keeper just got to in time. But apart from that, I can't think of too many more chances that they created.
No, and we have said that we think that Fulham will struggle. Arsenal actually look quite good as well. I don't like saying that very often, but Arsenal look quite good.
They do.
Got the new signings, which really
There was
helped.
one major standout really from the game, Arsenal's point of view, which is Willian.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not as if he's really got to get to know the country, etc. It's not even, probably don't even have to move house, which is ideal for him, but he settled in pretty quickly considering a lack of pre-season.
Yeah. He's
I think 2 assists.
Yeah. He's a fantastic player. Even at his age, he can definitely still do a job at Arsenal. Him linking up with Aubameyang is going to be a massive benefit for Arsenal this season.
Yeah, as shown by the third goal Arsenal scores, that little crossfield ball from Willian was sublime.
Yeah.
Aubameyang's touch was nice, and then the finish was sublime.
He also hit the post as well in the free kick, which was a decent free kick. We know that he can score free kicks. He can score decent goals from outside the box. So,
and it was a save from his scrambled effort that allowed Lacazette to score the opening goal.
Yeah, that one messy. That one though.
I
think it was messy attacking. No, it probably don't, but it was messy attacking. But Xhaka with a very poor shot. It landed to Willian. Obviously, Willian didn't have much time. He kind of saw the ball in front of him last minute. The keeper were already there, and it landed to Lacazette.
Get it goal wide, like goal bound, and who knows? You've got to try and hit the target, and he did.
Yeah,
not much more he could have done from there, but and then obviously his corner leading to another new signing, Gabriel scoring with a header. So,
well, did it hit his head?
Well,
because I was watching the commentators. Well, I wasn't watching. I was listening to the commentators, and there was applauding his goal, great header, and everything like that. But it hit the defender's hand that just so happened to be on his shoulder.
which was very poor defending, to be fair. He didn't even really challenge for the ball. There was no
Yeah.
jump.
I mean, he scored on his debut, so, fair play to him, but raving about it being a great header.
It was his first goal since March when he played in Liga in France. So he's not played any football at all for 6 months. So that's not a bad way to
No.
introduce himself. And he was pretty good at the back as well. Again, not that Fulham particularly tested too much, so it's hard to make them sort of judgments. But that's sort of the games I think you want as a defensive unit, especially if you're playing together for the first sort of time. In a different shape that Arsenal played, they did seem to go with three at the back and fullbacks. So allows them to go together a bit, sort of manage that positioning without giving away goals. Leno back from his injury as well, so pretty positive for Arsenal so far. I mean, we all know how Arsenal are. We can't take anything from the first couple of games, especially when it comes to Arsenal. But they do seem to be in a good place for the first time in a few years now.
Yeah, definitely looking a lot better than last season. We said last week that one of Arsenal's biggest issues last season was that they had far too many draws, which main reason why they finished in 8th place. So if they can get the wins, then we might see them up there in the top 4. Obviously, it's just one game and it's only against Fulham, so there's a long way to go, but they definitely looked good on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, Fulham have now lost their 11 top-flight London derbies. I mean, 10 of them was in the last Premier League season anyway, but it's their longest-running club history. Arsenal have scored the first goal of the Premier League season 4 times now, with only Liverpool doing more 5 times, which I think is a really interesting sort of stat. It's not really something you tend to think about, like which team scores the first goals.
Yeah. But
a lot
it
of
also
times
depends on
who gets the first game.
Yeah. If everyone kicked off at the same time, then that's when it's more interesting.
Yeah, it would be interesting. With Willian playing, it now moves Arsenal to 11 Brazilians to appear in the Premier League. Only Chelsea and Man City with 12. And for me, Arsenal aren't really a side that I associate with Brazilian players, so I don't know why. They're always known as sort of that quick passing football. But they're just not someone that I tend to think of too much. And then my final little stat from this game is Aubameyang is the first player to score on opening weekends in consecutive seasons for Arsenal since Robert Perez in 03-04, 04-05.
Wow.
And when you consider they had people like Van Persie playing for them,
Yeah.
Well, it shows how much they have struggled.
Yeah. So the next one we had, and obviously all these games were live. We had Palace versus Southampton.
We did, and this was a very good game in my eyes. Better than the scoreline suggests, at least.
Yeah.
Sahar, who else scoring for Palace? He also had one disallowed for a correct offside decision.
But that pass from Townsend, though, that cross.
Yeah, that was. I mean, another team that, if they can get themselves together, they should be at least top half of the table. I mean, we already know they can shock bigger teams. And if their keeper, Gita, is in the form he showed this weekend, then they're going to be incredibly difficult to score past. Because he was fantastic.
I think he got man at match as well.
He did, I believe he won the man of the match. The one very late on from Danny Ings from point blank range.
Yeah.
Saved them a win, basically. It was important as the goal. One big talking point for me in this game was Kyle Walker-Peters and the original red card decision, which was then downgraded to a yellow after the pitch side monitor review from John Moss.
Yeah, so this is the first season that they've allowed this in Premier League, isn't it? Where they can go over.
Yeah, where they've really encouraged it, and this is
I like
how
it. I
it's been
prefer it.
used. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot easier for a referee to every referee has different tolerances on what's a foul and what isn't. So, for example, say if I'm refereeing a game and you're watching VAR, I could give the decision, send someone off, and you could think, well, for me, that's not harsh enough. So if you then tell me to rescind that red card, I could be adamant in my head, but if you're telling me I'm wrong, I basically have to overturn it. You don't have to. You can go against VAR decision, but for me to then be able to go and watch the screen myself and actually make a judgment, and it was the correct decision. The red card was a atrocious decision in my eyes.
Yeah, I think. Well, so it was, but I think it's one of those where it depends on how the ref sees it, what position is in, doesn't it? The angle that he's got on that. But yeah, I mean, when the world got shown VAR, it was at the World Cup, when we really saw it, and that's when the refs was going over to have a look at the TVs.
Yeah, from what I've seen, that's the best it's worked in any competition so far.
Yeah.
So then when the Premier League introduced it and basically discouraged that, you just sort of knew it was a wrong move. Fans definitely stated that last season. Obviously, the first weekend, we haven't really seen it used much, but it looks to be in a better place.
Do you think that VAR is going to be one of those things where for the next 5 years, Premier League they'll see something else that they could do better, and then they'll introduce that next season, and then so each year for the next 5-6 years, they'll just introduce something a little bit better that they should have done season before?
I think potentially, if we had this discussion this time last year, then yes. But now FIFA have taken over it. Like, basically FIFA setting guidelines for every league now, so it should be unanimous throughout every competition.
Okay.
It won't be a league decision to introduce something, and I think that's probably for the best. Because if you have one thing happening in the Premier League, for example, and then go to play in the Champions League game, it's something completely different. Players like, well, where do I stand on this? Like, what's going on? So I think that uniformity is going to be fantastic for the game of football as a whole. I mean, I'm not a VAR fan. I never have been a VAR fan. Which you probably won't find many referees saying. Anything that helps us should obviously be for the better. But I straight away had issues with probably how it's going to be implemented, and I just didn't see it working. This is definitely a step in the right direction, and I'm a lot more accepting of it now.
Yeah, and I think the overturn of the red card was a great talking point for the new rules, the new way that VAR is going to be looked at.
Yep, and I mean, I'm not one to criticise referees at all, but John Moss is one of the weakest referees in the Premier League. He's consistently out of position, and this feels the sort of thing that's going to help him.
Yeah.
Probably helping not get quite as much slack. So, I mean, you think if that red card has stood, no VAR, it's a completely different game.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how it goes through the season.
Yeah, as I say, it's first weekend, so there's still a lot of time for it to go wrong. I mean, what was it? Last season, week 2 or 3, Tottenham, Man City, the handball. Well, that one was the first time we had a real discussion. So we'll see in a couple of weeks' time if we still feel the same way about it.
So the next game was a bit of a boring game.
Yeah, I mean, not much happening at all there. Just 7 goals.
Liverpool 4, Leeds 3. Obviously, Leeds' first game back in the Premier League. They definitely showed. I think they surprised everybody, to be honest with you.
They showed a lot of attacking flair.
I don't think
they're as bad as us.
Yeah, defensively, I don't think any defenders turned up for that game. Both sides was absolutely awful at the back.
Yep. The way I look at this is I sort of feel the same way as I did about when Norwich played Liverpool in the opening game last season, except Leeds scored more. Is it going to be a case of Leeds are coming into a season looking to outscore teams? Because if they are, then they're probably going to go down this season. But as we've seen in a few games this week, and not quite to this extent really, but no team was really stand out defensively.
No.
So is that the lack of pre-season? That's
Possibly. I
affecting it.
mean, everything's all over the place, isn't it? They didn't have a proper break. They haven't had a proper pre-season. So I'm surprised. To be honest with you, I was surprised how many goals were scored this weekend.
Yeah,
For that same reason.
and not quite as many injuries as I expected either.
No.
Definitely not major injuries anyway. Obviously, this game, probably the standout bit from it was 2 penalties for Liverpool. 2 correct decisions. Bielsa didn't really have much to say about it either. So when the opposite manager's satisfied with it, as a referee, you've done a decent job.
But was it the correct decision for the first one?
Yes.
Even though it deflected off his leg?
Yeah, I mean, Mark Clattenburg wrote in his article a couple of days ago in whatever paper he writes for, that sort of isn't looked at when your arm is so far away from your body now. It's all about extending your body. So because his arm was so far out,
Because obviously the handball rules were really strict last season.
Yes, and that's going to be the issue, is ensuring that it's consistent throughout the season.
Yeah.
Newcastle in the next game had a shout against them, but his arm was down by his body, like a natural position, as you'd say. So yeah, they don't really look too much at the deflection from the player in that situation. If he was like going to ground, like in the sort of tackling motion, that's when they would, because he stood up, face on the ball. There's a lot for a referee to take in there, and it was a very quick call, to be fair, from Michael Oliver, who is probably the best referee in the Premier League. And again, that's when you sort of want to see VAR, and that backed him up in that situation.
I think it was a bit harsh on Leeds, in my opinion, that penalty. And I know all the commentators and that lot, they were saying exactly the same.
I mean,
including Carragher.
It's one law that needs clarifying. It needs to be made sort of stricter. There's too much interpretation in that one.
And you're not going to have consistency through with all the referees if you haven't got clarification.
They have sort of made little strides towards that this season, having the sort of line on the arm of where's handball and where isn't. But it still needs a lot of work doing to that, especially with it favouring defenders over attackers.
Yeah. Great penalty from Salah.
Yeah, I mean, 3 pretty good goals from him, all emphatic. He must have been listening to us last week when I said that if I had to choose one of the 3 to get rid of, it'd be him.
And obviously, you didn't pick him in your fantasy football as well.
Yeah, picked Mane instead, so he just put me back in my place.
There's plenty. I know there's plenty of Premier League managers that picked him and put him as captain as well, so they was very happy the weekend.
A few triple captains in there as well, which is bizarre.
Yeah.
Then Leeds responded with a pretty fine goal themselves.
Great ball. Great control. And
over the top. He took Trent Alexander-Arnold out of the game with his first touch. Trent probably should have brought him down, giving away a foul there. Sort of place you're happy to give one away. You've not got your defenders back. Joe Gomez, no idea what he was doing. He just pussied out of a tackle. Lovely finish.
I mean,
possibly looking at Alisson do a bit better on that, but
the whole move from the long ball to Jack Harrison, the run, and the way he just took the piss out of the defenders as if they wasn't even there. He treated your defenders as cones for that goal. Great strike. Yes, the keeper probably should have done better, but you can't take away it. Was a great strike.
And if I was a keeper there, I'd be fuming with my defenders. Absolutely fuming. For him to just stroll through 2 of you, He shouldn't even be having to make a save in that situation. Chelsea. Sneeze there. Then obviously Salah went and restored the lead with his volley. Nice touch, nice volley. And then came the Van Dijk incident. His lackluster touch.
Hold on. It isn't Van Dijk. You've got to say his name properly. The greatest defender in the world ever, who makes no mistakes, Virgil van Dijk.
Big Virg, who in his past 5 or 6 Liverpool games has been poor. No other way to say it. He's made mistake after mistake. It seems to be too complacent, almost playing it in easy mode.
Mm.
And he definitely needs a bollocking.
I mean, there was a few people, you yourself were one of them, that said that there was no shout to him to say that there was a player behind him, but I don't think that is any excuse for a defender like Van Dijk to not proper clear it.
Yeah, I have got these goals in the wrong order here. Van Dijk scored the header to make it 2-1. Salah scored the 3-2. Because I was watching with crowd noise on when Van Dijk scored the header, and obviously Sky messed up big time. So I switched to in-stadium noise, and there was no shout, but Van Dijk didn't even look around. He wasn't aware of his surroundings. And I don't know why he'd even try and play a flick like that in the first place.
No. So I was talking to a friend who was a Liverpool fan, and he was sat watching the game with some other Liverpool fans. And he said it's like Liverpool fans refuse to say bad things about Van Dijk, because as soon as that happened, his mates were saying no one would call him, no one let him know it like that. But as my mate turned around to them and said, if that would go on, they should be slagging the hell out of him.
People will give him a pass in this game probably because he scored. And obviously that always skewers people's opinions on what happened. But if you look at his recent form for Liverpool, then he has been in danger of losing his spot to Matip.
He was poor in Community Shield as well.
Yeah, I don't think he was great on his national duty for Denmark either. Netherlands either. So
I don't think he even turned up. Now. He didn't even turn up for Denmark, from what I hear.
So, no, I mean, he didn't do much against England, did he? So, then obviously Salah's goal to make it 3-2, and then another good goal for Leeds with Klitsch. Came from a throw-in from Trent Alexander-Arnold, and I said to you at the time, I've got no idea what Salah was doing with this. People won't even look at it because Salah scored a hat-trick, but this was mostly his fault, because he just stood and let the defender run past him. Defender plays a cross-field ball, Robertson doesn't close him down, into the box for Klitsch, little touch, which was lovely to set him up for that volley.
Yeah, and again, there were no defending either.
Lovely goal, so...
Again, there were no defending either, though. It was a great touch, but where was your defence?
Yeah, that was the one thing that I can think of, anyway, that Robertson did wrong that game. He should have been out quicker to close his man down. Which is a similar situation to a game that's coming up later on as well. But yeah, lovely little goal, and then obviously Salah's second penalty to seal it in the 18th minute. About as clear a penalty as you'll see.
Yeah, I mean the
no blame
attacking players are always going to be going down there, whether they
There's
get
no
touched
blame
or
on
not.
The defender at all. Like, eyes on the ball completely. You'd sort of be a bit more aware.
Yeah, he kept his leg out too long. You could see that he was trying to get it out of the way, but he kept it out too long. And
it was a striker's tackle. Yeah. So,
but yeah, poor defending from both clubs. But the goals was also really good as well.
Yeah, say apart from Van Dijk mistake, possibly Alisson doing better and the two defenders for that. There's not much anyone could have really done about any of the goals otherwise, so...
I mean, for the new team to come up and the current Premier League champions for a 4-3 game, that's not something that you'd expect. I don't think anybody would have predicted 4-3 to Liverpool before that game.
Definitely not. I had 4-1 Liverpool, so at least I got part of it right.
I think that's it. I don't think anyone expected Leeds to take the game to Liverpool, and I don't think that many expected Liverpool to be so lackluster at the back as well.
I mean, it's one of them, if you look at the stats, it was very one-sided.
Yeah.
Apart from possession, I can't remember the last time a team came to Anfield and had more possession than Liverpool. They only had 3 shots on target, scored with all 3, so 100% shots on target to goal ratio so far this season.
I think
They
there was
keep that up,
unlucky
I
as well. I think there was I can't remember who it was, but there was another mistake not long before Jack Harrison that scored it, or Bamford. But not long before that, there was another one-on-one that Bamford had with the keeper. And I
Yeah,
think that one, I just don't think it was confident enough.
he sort of took it round the keeper and probably pushed it a little bit too far.
Yeah.
I do want to give a shout out to Leeds keeper for a fantastic save from an almost own goal.
Yeah.
It almost looped over, and that is one of the saves of the weekend, without a doubt.
Yeah.
So
it did play quite well. Leeds, the lack of possession that they had when they was attacking, they looked really well. So, is it something that's just lucky because first game of season, or is that going to continue? It'll be interesting.
Yeah, they keep up, and they'll definitely surprise us this season.
Mm.
Sheff United run, who knows?
Yeah, maybe. Swapping places with him. For the next game on Saturday, the 8 o'clock kickoff was West Ham Newcastle. Newcastle beating West Ham 2-0.
2 debutants scoring.
Yeah.
You can't really ask for more, can you? 2 new players scoring, clean sheet. It was a good game for Newcastle, and West Ham are poor.
Newcastle look quite good.
They do. And considering it's the Steve Bruce side, who generally hasn't really done too much in the Premier League. Last season, he started well, obviously dropped off a bit. If they can continue playing like this, Callum Wilson scoring goals, another one that could probably surprise us.
It was kind of like a goal poaching goal, but it's one of those where good strikers are there at the right place at the right time. They're not always just scoring. We had Van Nistelrooy that scored a lot of goal poaching goals. But we know that Callum Wilson can score anywhere.
Yeah, and obviously Hendricks setting him up for that as well. So Hendricks with a goal and an assist. Little ball in, and he just gets there before the keeper. Not too sure what Fabianski's doing there. I mean, the only player for Newcastle around him was Wilson, so why you'd sort of anticipate the ball beating him instead of attacking it, who knows? But take nothing away from Wilson, like you said, he's got to be in that position, and it's not an easy finish.
No.
Considering it's the inferior tapping, but he's still got to get up, he's still got to get there before the keeper.
Scoring on your debut as well. It's his 8th goal in 9 appearances against West Ham.
Yeah, I know he said in his interview after the match that he loves playing against West Ham. So
yeah, that's his biggest goal tally against one opponent. And then West Ham did have the chances though. They hit the bar twice in first half.
Yes, they did. They just didn't seem to be clinical enough. I mean, they had a fair few attacks, but apart from the couple that hit the crossbar, they didn't really trouble Newcastle.
So they had 15 shots, 3 on target. Newcastle had 15 shots, and both goals on target went in.
So another one of the teams that have been clinical with the shots on target. Still a fair bit of waste in there, but
yeah.
And something that I said to you when we saw the lineups was Andy Carroll playing alongside Callum Wilson. Obviously, Carroll's sort of a running joke almost in the Premier League, like a walking meme. But if him and Wilson can sort of play on the Tottenham days of Defoe and Crouch, little and large,
yeah,
that could be a nice partnership for them.
I don't really rate Andy Carroll that much, but Yeah, if he links up with Wilson, I think that'll be good.
And
I think
space
Wilson. Yeah, I think Wilson can do well for Newcastle.
Yeah, Wilson is a good sign. I mean, he's never really had a standout Premier League season, but this could be his chance. And he could potentially play his way back into England contention.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have a lot of English forwards, but not really English strikers.
Yeah.
So it's a big season for him.
Big talking point was, should it have been a penalty? So his arm was by his side, but as I said earlier, handball laws were very strict last season.
Yeah, again, I think as a stage during the last game, correct decision, because his arm was down by his side. He's not seen as extending his body, which is the key words now in the laws. I mean, there wasn't really a massive shout either from West Ham, which sort of tells you everything. Obviously, people are always going to claim as soon as it hits someone's arm, but they say there wasn't a massive shout from the players themselves. So, correct decision, I think, in my eyes. And Newcastle got the win they deserved for me. They were definitely the better team on the day.
And then the first game on Sunday was West Brom Leicester. 3-0 to Leicester.
Penalties.
And another player that we kind of had up there, well, I know I had up there to be one of the top goal scorers, Jamie Vardy scoring twice.
And new signing Castanga.
Yeah.
You know, however you pronounce his name, scoring on his debut with a header.
Good header.
Yeah, pretty good header. 2 penalties again, correct decisions. First one, a lot of fans even probably would have been split on at first viewing, because as play's going on, you just see Vardy go down in the box. Almost seems like coming together. The referee did well to let the attack play out and then give the penalty after. And yeah, the defender just got the wrong side of Vardy and just basically hauled it to the floor.
I'm very, very harsh on penalties. And I just think that there's too many soft penalties. I think that was another soft one, to be honest with you. It didn't look like Vardy got touched that much for him to go down.
Both hands were on his shoulder. Like you say earlier on, any striker's going to go down. Defender's in the wrong place, and if that cross had come in at that point, the defender would have been sent off because there was no attempt to win the ball there.
But you're talking about if something happened. But there wasn't enough pressure on Jamie Vardy for him to go down like he did.
You look at that anywhere else on the pitch, say someone's starting a counter-attack and someone jumps over the back of a player like that, it's going to be a free kick. So,
I think that we're giving elsewhere. I think there's far too many easy penalties. And I think that I feel sorry for the defenders, because the defenders literally cannot do anything without. I mean, how many penalties did we have this weekend? I know
there were 5.
Yeah, I just think we had some very easy penalties. Man United, we got taken the piss on how many penalties we had last season, but we had a lot of penalties, and a lot of them was far too easy. I don't think that we deserved half of them. And I just think right now, the refs aren't being strict enough on giving penalties. I think strikers and attackers, they're going down far too easy because they know that they're going to get something out of it.
I think the biggest change in the past few years is referees have started giving these fouls in the box, which, like I say, would be fouls everywhere else on the pitch, but are sort of reluctant to give as penalties. And since VAR came in, because if VAR looks at a decision like this and referee doesn't give it, it's going to get overturned.
But at the same time, if VAR are watching that, surely VAR can look at that and go, no, it went down far too easy.
They can do, but there is the contact there. And it's hard to see from a video how much action there actually was. Like,
it is, but you say this contact.
How much
you say this contact, but players are allowed to touch each other. It's how much
They
contact
are,
there is and what
but
they actually do.
it's more the fact you're the wrong side of the striker and you're jumping across the back with both hands on his shoulder.
They didn't look like much
Almost
pressure at all.
piggyback wise in a way.
They didn't look like there were any pressure at all. If Jamie Vardy had moved out of the way really quickly, he wouldn't have fell forward because he wasn't putting enough pressure on Vardy. I think it was far too easy. I think there's far too many that's like that. What this also causes as well is more players diving in the penalty box because of so many easy penalties given. And I think that this is where refs need to be more stricter.
Yeah, I mean, I say hopefully VAR is going to sort of make this a bit clearer. And it's going to take a bit of time for things to sort of filter in. I mean, we saw was it the World Cup a couple of years ago about the holding from corners, giving away penalties, and that got eradicated pretty quickly in the World Cup. Wasn't brought into the Premier League, but in other leagues it was brought in. And the first few weeks there was a lot of penalties given for it, and then it sort of filtered out. There's got to be, like you say, there's got to be a hard line on what is a penalty and what isn't, like what's just fair contact. And like I say, it's very hard to see unless you're one of the two players themselves and actually know how much of a tug there is. Or
if a striker and a defender's in the penalty box and they've both got hold of each other and both players go down, that's a penalty. That's going to be a penalty because the striker always gets the advantage.
now,
even though both were touching each other.
In that case, it would sort of depend. Say, like from a corner and the cross comes in and like they're holding on to each other, almost hugging boxing style, and they go over. If VAR looks at that, they'll say it's 50-50. A lot of times with that, it depends on who makes the first contact. If the defender's just standing his ground and the striker's like running into him to try to get past him, then it's going to be a foul in favour of the defence. But if the defender's arms around him and holding on to him...
What the point I'm trying to make is it's not always the defenders touching... all the players will touch each other. So to say that, that there was contact, there's always going to be contact because how else are you going to mark players? How else are you going to get the ball? Well, it's how much contact there is. I think it's just...
Maybe
it pisses me off.
Maybe it's the way of evening things out in attacker's favour for the handball laws.
It just pisses me off how many penalties get given that I don't think are penalties. And I think I'll definitely be disagreeing with a lot of penalties this year.
The one thing we can't disagree on was the second penalty, which was a penalty.
Yeah.
Similar to Liverpool's second one, actually, weren't it? Sort of defender tries to clear the ball, attacker gets there first, and...
Yeah, and it was John O'Shea, weren't it? And I don't think he knew that the player was there, but he swung out, and yeah, that were definitely a penalty.
Another two good penalties from Vardy.
Yeah, and a good chance of him being top goal scorer if he continues like this.
Yep.
One thing I did want to mention as well, and it's leading up to the Vardy penalty, is the speed of Harry Barnes. That ball, the way he just ran past defenders, he's got some pace, he has.
He's one player that I picked out last season as sort of like a good player that went under the radar. And if we're to go by this first game, he's in for a very good season this season.
Yeah.
I did just want to touch on Vardy one more thing. He did have a bit of a collision towards the end of the game, and he's sort of like limping away. He did score 2 goals after that, but it'd be interesting to see if that is sort of a muscular injury that's going to potentially affect him in the next couple of games. But if there's any player that's going to play through it, is Vardy.
It'll just get some blue wicked down him and then he'll forget about it.
Oh, yes. I mean, similar to another player that I'll speak about a bit later on with the knock and playing through it. But yeah, Leicester was pretty good. West Brom, pretty poor.
Yeah.
I think from first few wins, we were definitely correct in West Brom and Fulham being the bottom two, without a doubt.
Yeah. Definitely looking right at the moment.
I mean, we do have the Year 4 Cup games going on right now as we're recording, so we don't know West Brom's result against Harrogate just yet. But if they go out of the cup at early stages, they could be a short season for Bilic.
Mm. Well, I had him as one of my 7.
Yep.
Did I have him as one of my 4?
I think you did, yeah. No, I think we both had him as one of our 4.
Yeah.
And at this rate, I'm not looking forward to West Brom Fulham. So,
so the second game on Sunday.
I just want one more on Vardy. Obviously, he broke Van Nistelrooy's record of most games scored in a row. He's now also equalled Van Nistelrooy's record of scoring the most consecutive goals he's scored in 5 away appearances against West Brom, equaling Van Nistelrooy's record of most away goals versus an opponent with a 100% scoring record.
Nice.
So Van Nistelrooy 5 out of 5 against Newcastle, Vardy 5 out of 5 against West Brom.
Nice.
So they just love each other.
So the next game, Tottenham Everton. I was looking forward to this game. I thought this game would be quite interesting, and it was. It was a good game.
It was, and say it quietly, Pickford had a good game. 2 good saves for him, a win for Everton, which it was a tough one to call, really. Like, they're pretty similar teams, in effect, 2 world-class managers who know how to get results.
Yeah.
One way or another. But yeah, just the 1 goal in this. Everton's new signings looked good, though. I feel like Rodriguez was hyped up a bit too much by the media after. I don't think he did as well as people make out, but he still had a great game.
Yeah, it did.
I think Alan got man of the match.
Calvert-Lewin, according to Premier League.
BBC are going to James Rodriguez, so there we go.
I know that Everton had a very good chance early on. Great pace from Richarlison. Great pace chasing the ball, took it around the keeper, and then did a Torres and fluffed it.
Yeah, and we saw a fair bit of that this weekend throughout all the games, really. There were, I think, 3 or 4 occasions of a player getting around the keeper and either hitting it over or shooting instead of pulling it across goal. And
yeah, like Bamford that we mentioned earlier.
Yep, potentially, like we say, due to pre-season, they haven't quite got them links going yet. For me, Richarlison had a poor game for Everton. He was far too greedy at times. They could have had more goals.
It was poor as his hairstyle.
Oh, yes. What has he done there? No idea. A good save from Pickford to keep out Doherty on his debut, who looks to be very attacking.
Yeah.
Which could be a worry for Tottenham in some games. I mean, look at the left-hand side. Liverpool, you've got Mane. City, you've got Sterling. Martial for United.
Or Rashford, yeah.
Or Rashford. That's 4 players that are going to trouble him if he's going to be that attacking against some of the bigger teams. So that's something that Jose will have his work cut out for. The goal came from a free kick, which was a foul, but then the controversial bit was the location of the free kick. Now, this was moved forward about 5 or 6 yards from where the foul actually happened.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, there was... It happened on the lighter part of the pitch marking towards the front. It got taken from the darker part of the pitch marking near the front. And that makes a massive difference. Take nothing away from the goal. It's a fantastic ball in from Lucadina, but it's a big difference and one that the officials shouldn't be missing. Mourinho has come out and said he wants a new striker before the transfer window closes. Kane didn't have a good game for Tottenham. I don't think he played too well for England either. So, as we said in the preview, Harry Kane's a player they rely on a lot. So if he's not hitting his form, Spurs are going to be in big trouble. Unless they bring in a striker.
You know my feelings on Kane. I don't really rate him anyway. I don't know how he did for England because I can't remember last time I watched an England game that wasn't in a tournament. I think Tottenham's going to struggle if they don't get a striker in. Everton look good though. The players that they brought in, and obviously I'm not a fan of Mourinho either, so I'm kind of glad of this result, to be honest with you.
I mean, Everton's new signings all look to settle in pretty much straight away, which again is pretty much all you can ask for. Tottenham have got a trip to Bulgaria on Thursday for the Europa League
tomorrow, yeah,
qualifying round, and that's a lengthy trip as well.
So when do they play Sunday then?
They play Sunday in the dinner time kickoff as well. So 12 o'clock on Sunday.
Yeah, I kind of took into account that they've got to travel tomorrow in my prediction.
But yeah, Everton look pretty good. Carlo Ancelotti now has the second best run of opening weekend wins in the Premier League with 3 out of 3, only behind Pep with 4 out of 4.
This is a good manager.
He really is. I mean, we've already said before, he's in theory bigger than Everton.
Yeah.
But if Everton are going to give him money to spend and he's bringing in players the quality he has, who knows? They could be a top 4 shock.
Yeah. Monday. So Man United and Man City played a little later in the European competitions, but 2 other clubs that was in European competition and got given 2 days longer was Wolves and Chelsea. So Wolves kicked off, was that 6 kickoff?
I think it was, 6 o'clock.
So Wolves took on Sheff United at Sheff United, and a nice 2-0 win for Wolves to start the season off.
Yep, Jimenez opening the scoring after 3 minutes. A nice little volley from him.
Good ball over.
Sheff United carved open at the back there. Yeah. I don't think there was any defender anywhere near him. But lovely technique on the volley. Like, he just sort of let it hit his foot and it just sort of looped it. I don't really know how he did it, but fantastic goal. And then Saiss with the header.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was pretty good for Wolves. They should have had another goal. Jimenez missed a sitter. I think a shot came back off the post and fell to him with an empty net, and he tapped it wide.
And I think didn't Saiss hit the bar as well?
I think he did.
No, he hit the post.
Yeah, the one off the post was Saiss that was saved by Ramsdale onto the post, and it fell to Jimenez that went wide.
Yeah.
Again, early days, but Wolves look very, very sharp. I don't think they played any pre-season friendlies either.
Not that I saw. We had this conversation, didn't we? We didn't see many.
Yeah, I mean, Sheffield United played 3.5. They had one called off at half time due to the weather. Wolves didn't play any. So in theory, Sheffield United should have been the sharper. But it just looks like the rest made a difference. And we all know how good of a team Wolves are.
Yeah.
I mean, Sheffield United are a good team. They prided themselves last season on defensive displays. But if they're going to rely on that this season, looking at this game, they're going to struggle big time.
I mean, they went 2-0 up in 6 minutes. And then nothing.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the game, Sheffield United had more of the ball. They had high possession. But Wolves just had more shots on target. They just threatened more than Sheffield United. Like I say, Sheffield United seemed to be the rusty for the two teams. John Fleck did hit the post for Sheffield United with a pretty decent strike across the goal. Ludstrom almost got to a cross from Billy Sharp to pull one back, but you just sort of felt like even if they'd scored one of the goals, you didn't really think they were going to get back into the game. Wolves seem to be that sort of next level up from them.
Yeah.
That's taken enough away from Sheffield United. Like I said, they had a fantastic season last season. Ramsdale had a good game, but he's not quite Dean Henderson's level.
No. And I'm watching, I don't know if you ever watched the kickoff on YouTube with True Geordie and a few other guys. And somebody on there predicted Sheffield United to go down. And everyone was like, wow, early. But after looking at the performance and the result, maybe they do. I mean, look at Leicester when they nearly went down and then they won the league and then they nearly went down next season. So it could be that Sheffield United had the good season last season and now they could potentially go down. And this is the first time that they've lost on the opening day of a Premier League season as well, Sheffield United.
Yeah, I mean, I remember saying to you when we were doing our predictions that at one point I had Sheffield United in my bottom three and thought that was a big shout. I have then since moved them up to 15th, something like that, I think it was. But on this showing alone, I probably would have been justified having them down there. But it's a long odd season, and Chris Wilder's a fantastic manager. If they can sort their defence out and score some goals, they should do pretty well again.
It was also, as well, Wolves' first win in Yorkshire since 1981.
How about that?
Now, there's a fact for you.
Yes,
and then on to our final game, Brighton versus Chelsea. Obviously, Chelsea spent a lot of money in the transfer window, so this was always going to be interesting to see how they did.
The spat seems to continue between Lampard and Klopp from the end of last season. But
3-1 win, nice comfortable win.
Yep, another penalty in this game, another correct decision, another poor back pass.
Yeah.
Werner obviously getting there before the keeper brings him down. And Werner has since come out today and said he's struggling with a muscular injury from that tackle. It was basically knee to muscle. He finished the game with his muscle really tight, and he said he's struggling for it a little bit. So obviously they play Liverpool this weekend. A play that they could really do fully fit. He made some promising runs in that game. He did look pretty well. At one point, Brighton with the equaliser was a nice little goal. A lot of criticism for Kepa from this one, which I personally feel is a little bit harsh.
It was a good goal, though. Great strike.
It was a good goal. People saying he should have done better, but what people wasn't looking at was he had two players in his line of vision, two Chelsea players in his line of vision. So he wouldn't have seen it too late. People will say, oh, well, you should have stepped sideways or everything, but it happened that quick. And like you say, it was a lovely goal. It was in the corner of a goal. Not many keepers would have got to that, in my opinion. Poor defending from Chelsea.
Yeah. And then 2 minutes later, Reece James is anything you can do, I can do better.
Oh, yes.
With a fantastic strike from outside the box as well.
What a way to score your first career goal.
Not bad at all.
25 yards, right footer into the top corner. Left Matt Ryan with no chance whatsoever. Just a fantastic goal all around. Dunk then somehow missed a sitter with a header at the far post to make it 2-2. And then after that, it was virtually all Chelsea. Kurt Zuma get the deflected shot.
Yeah, very lucky goal. Came off defender when keeper was already going the wrong way. So there was no way that keeper could have changed last minute. But
that's one of them in my eyes should go down as an own goal.
Yeah.
But that's obviously not how it works. So Chelsea get 2 centre-backs on the score sheet, which I'm sure they'd be happy about.
Yeah, spent all that money on attackers. And
yeah, I mean, is it only 2 of them making their debut, Werner and Havertz? Havertz was poor.
yeah,
That was one of the worst debuts this weekend, especially for the money he cost. Like I say, Werner made some good runs. It does seem to be a bit different from Germany. He found himself offside quite a bit. But I mean, once he sort of gets used to where the lines are in England and that sort of stuff, he's a rapid player, so he should settle in pretty well. One of your shouts again for top scorer.
Yeah, it is a good player, and he knows how to score. So,
Jorginho's penalty was good, but I personally expected Werner to take the penalty. I know Jorginho doesn't seem to miss that much, but Werner was Leipzig's penalty taker and a pretty good record. But I suppose why,
That's it. I mean, Jorginho doesn't miss, so why would you? You can't really just walk in and just be the penalty taker or the free kick taker, can you?
No, not really.
Not when you've got someone that can already do it.
But this was sort of a interesting game because Brighton, for me, wasn't as bad as the scoreline suggests.
They had more possession than Chelsea.
Yeah, more possession, more shots, just less shots on target. Again, if Dunk scores that header, it's a completely different game, and a player of his quality should be scoring a header from there. I probably could have scored a header from there, and that's saying all.
I just want to bin there.
And assuming I'm in that position, I wouldn't have been, but yeah, it's an interesting one. They are a team that I had to go down this season, but they play better than the scoreline, and I think they'll do all right against some of the weaker teams. Obviously, Chelsea are one of the strongest teams in the league. It's not the easiest team to play on your opening day.
No.
A loss for them, obviously, Lallana going off injured. What a bear summer signings. I've not seen anything about that since. I think it was a muscular injury that he went off with. So we shall see what happens there.
I think it'll be interesting to see, because Chelsea look good going forward. I think it'll be interesting to see how your defence turns up next week.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of Chelsea fans, from what I've seen, they are saying it's attack versus defence for both teams. They are very worried about Kepa. Chelsea were in for a keeper. Supposedly he'd signed, and then there was no confirmation. So, who really knows what's happening there? But yeah, both teams looked pretty decent. Obviously, Chelsea come out with a win, which is all that really matters in the end, I suppose, isn't it? So
yeah,
and a couple of goals as well. So
we've got. So I'll put the league table up on the screen. So we've got Arsenal currently joint top with Leicester in terms of goal difference. Chelsea and Newcastle in top 4. I can't see Newcastle stopping there for long. I can't see Arsenal stopping at top for long either. But and then the bottom 3 at the moment, obviously it's early days, but it's West Ham, Fulham, and West Brom.
And I would feel that we could potentially see that same bottom 3 at the end of the season.
So I want your player of the weekend, your goal of the weekend, your team of the weekend, and the gaff of the weekend.
Okay, in that order?
Yeah.
Okay, so my player of the week, I had 3 players shortlisted for this. I had Willian and Salah in there for obvious reasons. But my player of the week is going to Gita of Crystal Palace. Some of the saves he pulled off were important. Fantastic keeper performance. So yeah, he is my winner of Player of the Week. Enjoy that prestigious award.
I will do a tally. I'll do a league as well of see how often you recommend these players.
Interesting. Goal of the week was harder to choose. I had 5 shortlisted for this one. Aubameyang, Salah, Trossard and Harrison, all for obvious reasons. But for me, the standout goal was Reece James
for
Chelsea against Brighton, especially considering it's his first ever career goal.
And he's a right back.
Yep. Team of the week, I had Arsenal and Newcastle shortlisted, but I'm going for Leicester.
Yeah, they play well.
Yeah, I mean, Leicester and Arsenal obviously playing the lesser teams, but Leicester impressed me. And Gaffer of the week, I had Lewis Dunk shortlisted for his missed header, Jimenez for his miss shortlisted, John Moss listed for his shocking red card decision, but my winner is Virgil van Dijk.
I am clipping this fucker. I am clipping the fact that you are putting Virgil van Dijk, the player that you believe is the greatest defender in the world.
And had we done this at the end of last season, he would have also won it against Arsenal. So,
so mine aren't that much different to yours, to be honest with you. So my player is Willian. I've rated him all the time. We were at Chelsea when there were rumours that it was Man United were potentially interested. I wouldn't have said no. Goal. So I went for Reece James as well. Great strike again. First goal and being a right back, just awesome. My team is Wolves. I think I just enjoy watching them anyway, but yeah, I think they did well. I potentially see them. They could be in Europa League spots at the end of the season. And
I think I had them down as 5th for this season. So,
and my gaff is the man himself, VVD, Virgil van Dijk. Just, for somebody that got nominated for a Ballon d'Or and is playing for the current Premier League champions, there's no excuse for what he did. That was just stupid.
Yeah, I mean, it has seemed to be a feature of most of his career from what I've seen. He does tend to play at half speed, but he does seem to be a lot more complacent now and making the mistakes. So
they're the kind
another
of
worthy winner.
They're the kind of mistakes I expect Phil Jones to make.
Yeah, but Phil Jones pulls good faces while he's doing them as well.
True. Right. So this is something that we forgot to do last week. So we're going to be doing the predictions for next week. So we'll do it one team at a time. One game at a time. I'll also put all the fixtures. No, I'll put the fixtures up on the screen. What channel they're on, what time they kick off. Like I said last week, they are showing all the games through September, which is a bonus for everybody that's got BT Sport, Sky Sports, BBC, and Amazon. There is a BBC Sport game this weekend as well, which is interesting. So we'll start with 12:30 kickoff on Saturday on BT Sport. Everton versus West Brom.
Yeah, I've got a 2-0 Everton win here. I think it looked impressive against Tottenham. I thought West Brom were poor. Should be a fairly straightforward game for them.
Yeah, I've gone similar, but I've gone 3-0. I think they look really good going forward. They brought in a few new players, and there's still time for them to gel and learn how to play with each other. So I think, yeah, Way West Brom are. I think Everton could score 3. 3 o'clock kickoff, also on BT Sport, is Leeds versus Fulham, the two newbies.
Yeah, similar reasons to that last game. I've got Leeds winning 3-1.
I've got Leeds 2-0. So we're also going to be doing points as well. So I think I'll give us a point if we get the winner right, and 3 points if we get the correct result. And we'll do that as a league table at the end of the season.
Yep.
So R5 kickoff. So the first game of the new season for Manchester United against Crystal Palace on Sky Sports.
I want yours first on this one.
So I've gone 3-1 to Man United.
Okay. I've gone 2-1 to Man United. So I did tie you 3-1. So we were almost exactly the same on that one.
I mean, apart from getting knocked out of not Champions League, Europa League, we've been looking good. Obviously, we've had a break since then, and we've got a new boy. I don't know if Van der Beek's going to be starting this weekend, but I think that we can do some damage. Crystal Palace are a good team, so it might be tough, but
obviously with Sahar in there for Man United player.
Yeah, but Moyes has left, so it's fine.
As we've said about Palace, they can beat anyone, but I just think Man United's got too much quality for Palace.
Yeah,
one thing that could potentially make a difference is Palace have had some games, competitive games. So if Man United start a bit slow and Palace can get off to a quick start, get an early goal, then it could get interesting. But even with no fans there, I expect Man United to win at home.
Yeah, I think first game of the season, we need to come out and we need to bang them goals in early. We can't let Palace go 1-0 up. 8 o'clock kickoff. On Sky Sports, we have Arsenal versus West Ham.
2-0 Arsenal.
So I've gone 2-1 to Arsenal. I don't know. I just see West Ham getting a goal.
Yeah, I suppose it depends on what system Arsenal play. If they're going to play the 3 at the back, they should be pretty solid. Unless David Luiz plays, then who knows? But yeah, I mean, similar to what I've already said already, West Ham just did not impress me last week.
Sunday, 12 o'clock kickoff on BT Sport. We have Southampton versus Spurs. Obviously, we've already mentioned that Spurs are playing tomorrow night in Bulgaria. So the fact that we got the early kickoff on Sunday.
I did not know this when I made my prediction, but I'm going to stick with it anyway. I've got 1-1.
1-1. I've gone 1-0 Southampton just because of that.
Yeah, I probably should have looked at that when I made my predictions, but
Spurs were poor last week, and travelling midweek. Not just travelling for like a Carabao Cup, but travelling as in flying to another country. They didn't look good, so Southampton to get a win. 2 o'clock kickoff on Sky Sports. Newcastle versus Brighton.
I've got another home win here, which seems to be a feature of a lot of my predictions, but Newcastle 2-1. I think this will be a cracking game. So
I've gone 2-0. I think it'll be a good game. I just don't think Brighton will get a goal. R4 kickoff. Now, this is the first big game of the season on Sky Sports. Chelsea versus Liverpool. Both teams scored decent amount of goals last weekend. But
so you just know we're set for a 0-0 then.
Yeah.
But that's not my prediction.
I've gone for 2-2.
I had 2-2 and changed it just before we started recording, and I have 3-2 Liverpool.
So you change a lot of things last minute. I think that's going to bite you in the ass as we go through the season.
It's going to bite me in the ass, so it's going to work out fantastically for me. I've sort of gone for that purely on the fact that Chelsea's new boy didn't really shine last week, and they still have a lot of new players coming to the squad that need to gel.
So I've gone 2-2 because you got no new boys to come in to gel, and you're not looking very good. Not just last week, but in Community Shield against Arsenal. I know it was just a friendly, but again, you didn't look good, and I don't know. You're not showing much at the moment. For if I was a Liverpool fan, I'd be wanting to see a lot more from the club. Obviously, striking wise, you're scoring the goals. 2 of them were penalties, so you still got to score that penalty. But I don't think you're just doing that much. And Chelsea's spent some money, and they're looking at a good side. So it'll be interesting. BBC Sport getting a game, which is weird for Premier League games, apart from obviously at the restart. But 7 o'clock kickoff on BBC Sport on Sunday, Leicester versus Burnley.
Yeah, another home win, 3-1 Leicester. I just think they're the better team out of the two. And you'll be happy to know, but I think Vardy's going to score all 3 of these. So
yeah, I'll not put him as a captain. He's not in my team, but I've gone 2-0 to Leicester. So I think that Leicester's better than Burnley, but I just think it'll only be 2 goals.
Yeah, obviously Burnley's first game as well this season. So
yeah, and then on Monday, another first game of the season is Aston Villa versus Sheff United.
And we finally have another away win, a 2-1 Sheffield United.
Really?
Yeah, I just don't think Aston Villa are a good team.
But even after last week's performance for Sheff United?
Even after last week, I just can't bring myself to give Aston Villa a win here.
So I kind of looked at last week's performance from Sheff United, so I've gone 0-0. I don't think it'll be an interesting game. It's a 6 o'clock kickoff on a Monday as well. I just think it's a weird time to play. I don't know why it makes much difference, but it's a weird time to play, and I can't see much from either team. And then the final game of the weekend, 8:15 kickoff on Sky Sports, is Wolves versus Man City.
Another first game for Man City, and I have Wolves winning 2-1.
Yeah, I had 3-1.
I mean, similar to what I've said for the other games, I think Man City could potentially come out slow. And Wolves are a damn good team. And they beat City last season, so.
Oh, did you have 2-1 Wolves?
Yeah, I've got 2-1 Wolves.
Oh, I just completely blanked. Now I want 3-1 City.
No, I've got Wolves to win. So.
I mean, it'd be interesting if City lost the first game against Wolves.
It should be another good game. Potentially pick of the weekend, which means it's 0-0.
So it's the first full weekend that all teams are playing. Obviously, some have got the advantage of already playing 1 week, but we'll see how it goes. It's definitely going to be interesting to see over the next couple of weeks as teams kind of level where the positions are.
Yeah, so we've got 5 teams will have played 1 game. No, 7 teams will have played 1 game. 2 will have played none, and the rest will have played 2 now because of the cup games as well. So there's already starting to get a little bit of a mix in there of match fitness, but also fitness itself.
Well, that's this week done. So if you want to pop your predictions down in the comments, any agreements, disagreements that you've got with anything that was said on last week's games, on predictions, or anything like that, drop them down.
Yep.
We are looking at some other videos that we're going to be doing, talking around transfers, young players,
some tier lists,
some football manager streams, not streams, videos.
Videos, bit of everything for you.
Yeah, plenty of football. coming on this channel. So
anything that you guys want to see as well, just let us know. And
I think this is going up on Saturday morning, Friday night, Saturday morning. So hope you have a good weekend. Also, if you're putting some bets on, drop us your bets in the comments. Show us what you've got, and if we get some decent predictions that actually came in, we might show them on screen as well next week. But
yep, feel free to tweet them at us as well.
Yeah.
Tweet us on Twitter if you want to have a conversation about the football.
All our individual links will be down below as well. But please subscribe. You can click on that bell if you want. Don't matter whether you get notified or not. I'll turn all my notifications off, especially to your channels.
Don't blame me.
Post anything. But...
Been busy.
I'm not even saying anything. Right, catch you next week, guys. See you later.
Do we do that? What?